Damage control after the fact is usually a very difficult task to undertake in any situation. And that is why corporate fixers are paid huge, unimaginable amounts of money to do what they usually do. However, the government of Kenya throughout history has been very successful, almost 100% successful, when it comes to damage control after the fact. Let us admit that they have that record. And now, right before them, is the saga that has shocked the nation. The very sudden death, Cyrus Jirongo, at a place where it does not make sense. Whichever way you look at it, it does not make sense why he was there. And how are those damage control measures going? Is it working? Welcome to my show today, which is a follow-up on the story that has refused to leave the minds of Kenyans. And we'll also cover some updates and new issues that have come up. I'm sure a show that will be worth your time. Karibuni sana na twende kazi. Why has the post-mortem on the late Cyrus Jirongo been delayed so much? Why? And yet we know the post-mortem on the car, the forensic audit undertaken by friends of Cyrus Jirongo, very fascinating results. We know that one has already happened. But then this examination on the casualty, the victim in this case, has been delayed. As I make this recording, the latest is that it is being done today, Wednesday the 17th of December, the year of our Lord, 2025. Now, one thing you can be very sure about is that when something like this happens, there is a lot of activity behind the scenes. And usually, there is a push and pull and people flexing their muscles, both within the family and close friends of the late Jirongo, but also amongst people on the other side, very powerful people in the country, influential people, who were somehow linked to this tragedy. And of course, there was the very bad sign when the body arrived at the Lee Funeral Home. After a very short while, very few people saw the body. The public, the family, and anybody was barred from viewing the body. And we were told this was because there was still investigations going on linked to the body. And I'm afraid that is a very red flag, indicating possibility of damage control. And of course this makes me, and I'm sure everybody else, very curious and anxious to see the results of the autopsy whenever that will come out. And I want us to draw our attention to something here, concerning this push and pull, and possibly the kind of autopsy we're going to get, whether it's going to be real or whether it is going to be doctored. Okay? And it is this. You see, Bwana Jirongo, because of his character, had some very powerful friends in Kenya. Okay? The fourth president of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, was a close friend of Jirongo. The son of the second president of Kenya, the favorite son, Gideon Moi, was very close to Jirongo. Later on this show today, we will look a little deeply into why this was so, why they were such great friends. It started a long time ago in the 90s. And there are dozens of other characters, very influential people in our country, who owe the late Jirongo a lot. And now that he's gone, I am sure that their conscience will not allow them to sit back and watch things go against their departed friend. Now, damage control. You know, sometimes you can do something. Yeah, this happens in this life. You can do something where everything goes wrong right from the beginning. For instance, this is the festive season, and so you can decide to start on a journey to your shags, and you're ready and everybody's excited. But as soon as you get to your vehicle, you discover that you have a puncture. And when you reach Limuru, because you're going to Western Kenya, your car engine starts overheating. You notice those two problems are completely unrelated. Yeah? But things are just happening. Everything is going wrong. I'm sure you get what I'm trying to say. Now in the Jirongo saga, everything started going wrong. As I mentioned in my previous video, one of the problems encountered very early on, I'm sure, was that somebody forgot the make of a vehicle we are dealing with here. A Mercedes-Benz. The product of decades and decades of high-tech research to improve, and mainly focusing on safety features. Decades of that. You know, a few hours before I came in to make this recording, I was talking to a Mercedes expert, and they got very impatient with me. You see, I was asking them a very simple question. Is it possible for Mercedes-Benz, especially the model in question, which the late Cyrus Jirongo was driving, to be involved in an accident as described by the DCI, dragged 25 meters down the road, down the highway? You know, we journalists ask very probing questions, and sometimes we repeat questions for clarity. But I think this expert assumed I was not getting it, and so he told me the following, in a very angry tone. Boss, this is a German machine. Do you know what that is? Do you understand what that is? This is not a Japanese toy. That is very important to understand. Anyway, his answer to my question was impossible. Maybe a Pro Box. Okay? You know, I have a very nagging feeling that those involved in this damage control, do not believe that a Mercedes-Benz is a different vehicle, especially when it comes to head-on collisions. Sigari ni gari tu, kwani? Eish! Now please allow me to interrupt my show today to put something on record that I believe is very important. Okay? Yesterday, some men knocked on my front door and told my children that somebody had sent them to collect a fridge to help that person carry the fridge, and they even suspected it is me who made the call. Of course I didn't make such a call. And the reason why I'm putting it on record on YouTube is because I saw a coded message there. You see, a fridge, for those Kenyans lucky enough to own one, is a very vital thing in the house. So, some people have been sent to collect this vital thing from the house, and take it to wherever. People have been sent to collect a very vital person, thing in that house, and take them to wherever. I'm sure you get it. My life is protected by the Most High. But I want it on record here, in case anything happens to me. The world must know about this very strange, bizarre incident. And of my statement, I'm not looking for any sympathy, please don't get me wrong. I've been doing this a long time. I have always been protected by the Most High, and He continues to protect me every day. But I just wanted that to be on the public record. Nothing more, nothing less. Now let me tell you a story that maybe you've heard before. There was this madman in a village market, and somebody thought, if I get rid of this madman, nothing will happen. But after he did what he did to the madman, and the madman vanished, and later his remains were found, he discovered to his shock that actually this madman had a lot of relatives, and people were close to him. On the surface of things, when Jirongo was still here with us in the world of the living, it would have been very easy to say, who is Cyrus Jirongo? Who is he? He's a nobody. It would have been very easy to say that. But then, I strongly believe some people at this moment are regretting. They are like that man in that story, the madman. They are realizing, Allah, kumbe this guy had so many powerful people close to him. Aye, how come we didn't notice? And therefore it is no surprise that the damage control exercise ongoing is a disaster. You know, even in the DCI statement released about this CCTV footage of the accident actually happening, the DCI made a mistake. They mixed up the car registration number. Now, to put this into proper perspective, who are the DCI? Can you imagine the FBI in the US coming out with a statement, and they've got the car registration numbers of a very serious incident like this Naivasha one? They get it wrong. Can you even begin to imagine that? But this is what happened. This is what has happened over the last few hours. Anyway, in my opinion, based on the evidence and the clues in the public domain so far, it is rather obvious that this was a stage-managed accident. We don't have the details yet, but the clues and evidence tell us conclusively this was stage-managed. And therefore, instead of dwelling there, I think we need to move to focusing on the motive. The motive. The motive is always so important. The motive behind where some people or somebody may want to end the life of another person. And while we know very well, even those people, their day will reach. Everybody has to leave this earth. But sending somebody to the afterlife earlier. Anyway, usually there is a motive. I want you to listen in to this very brief audio clip where the late Cyrus Jirongo was telling Edwin Sifuna something. It was one of Jirongo's own podcasts on social media. Listen in. I'll be back.
If you remember, there was even a coup in YK92, led by Sam Nyamwea and a few other people, to kick me out because I'm not towing the line. So there is a wrong perception about individuals without interrogation. When this matter is interrogated in detail, and when I put pen to paper and tell Kenyans...
You are writing a book?
I wrote it a long time ago, but I can't even release it.
Why?
Because I'll end up in... some people might just murder me.
But the book is already there. You know,
it is there
you cannot
written,
kill a voice.
We cannot give it out at the moment. But it will come out at the right time. Kenyans need to understand.
Are you still afraid of that there are still elements within the power circles right now that have grudges from 92? Because those stories that you're telling,
that still pull strings in this country.
Okay.
And let me tell you, Sifuna, most Kenyans don't know what their government is.
Now, the late Jirongo did not have any training in journalism, and these issues of info and sensitive info that people have. Otherwise, he would have known when you have sensitive information, you're in great danger if you're yet to release that information. Yeah, releasing that information makes it safer for you, because then it will be too late to block that information coming out by finishing off somebody. I'm sure you get it. But when you have that information, and you even confirm by announcing that you have it, and you announce that you have a book and it is even ready, but it is going to be released at an appropriate date, you're putting yourself into very serious danger. That is how it goes. So, could this be the possible motive of the possible murder of the late Jirongo? Well, I leave you to decide that one for yourself, because I'm yet to get any leads or any pointers that would persuade me enough that this was what broke the camel's back. But of course, I suspect. Please allow me to leave it there. Now, there's something else very interesting I'd like to share from this audio clip. Jirongo in the clip talks about a coup, or rather coup attempt, within the Youth for Kano organization, Youth for Kano 92, where some people are very determined to remove him as chairman of that lobby group, which was his brainchild in the first place. I'm sure you'd like to know the people who are behind Sam Nyamweya in his bid for this coup within YK 92. George Saitoti and his handlers were terrified of the YK 92 movement lobby group. And some of Saitoti's handlers felt that Moi was going to wake up very soon and appoint Jirongo Vice President of the Republic of Kenya in a bid to get a new image for the KANU government, the much-hated KANU government then. Also in that camp was another very powerful Kenyan and very famous called Nicholas Kipiator Biwott. So, how did Jirongo, who was about 31, 32 years old then, how did Jirongo survive? I think the answer to that question is very instructive, even to all the issues we're facing here today, even those I've mentioned in the video, especially about the late Jirongo having powerful friends. Now, Jirongo was a very sly man, and right from the get-go, he befriended people who mattered, like Gideon Moi and other Moi children, and another powerful man called Hezekiah Oyugi. People who had the president's ear, okay? They could get to the president and tell him something at any time of the day or night. And that is what saved Jirongo and sustained him as chairman of YK 92. And I'm sure that tells you a lot, doesn't it? About the character of the late Jirongo. Now, very quickly before I go, the last offer ended, and the latest offer, which I'm launching today, and again, which will only take a few hours, a few days at most, you can see on your screens right now. As long as your gift, during this traditional gifting season for Kumekucha Chris, as long as your gift is at least Kenya shillings 2,500, you will be able to get a permanent golden key to anything and everything past, present and future that is Kumekucha. That is a lot of sensitive information, including a video that many have been asking me about because they did not believe it back then. How Baba was finished, okay? How he was assassinated, exactly how. Of course, that is included in the videos you'll get immediately. You become a brand new golden key member. Please rush. Details are on your screens right now. Please move with speed if you're in a position to, because this is yet another crazy offer. My very small way of saying thanks to the amazing support I've received from you guys. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.